What's up, movie freaks? Welcome back to film discussion. We're going to be talking about The Green Knight today. I am Film and Thespian on the YouTubes. And then we have over here, or down here, wherever they are on the screen.
I'm the Meta Gladiator, also known as Ian. Yeah.
You guys know who I am. I'm Phil Camps. This is my channel. But so yeah, the Green Knight.
Green Knight.
The Green Knight.
First of all, as always, spoiler. This is a spoiler discussion.
Yes.
I think this is probably the newest movie that we've talked about so far.
Yes, definitely.
So I think
Yeah.
it would be more likely that people haven't seen this one
Yeah.
as of the release of this video.
Right.
But anyway, what did you guys think? Since I suggested it, I'll tell mine last.
I think it's garbage. It's like hot garbage. Terrible. Terribly filmed. Oh my gosh. No, it was really good. It's really good. I liked it a lot. It was nice to see. But I kind of feel like I think me and William were talking about this. There seems to be more of like actual like fantasy going into this cinematic like film or television since like Game of Thrones and stuff, and that's like I like that. I like that that's starting to kind of.
It definitely felt like a fantasy movie.
Yeah,
Which I don't.
I would technically
think
say it is because there's no actual proof of that stuff even existing anyway. Like it was a story from the 14th century. I mean,
I've read I have 40 pages left of the original poem. But from what I've read, it's not nearly as fantastical as the movie is, which is interesting. But
yeah,
I really enjoyed that stuff.
The reading stuff, because one of the first things when we were looking it up, me and William, one of the first things we saw was J.R. Tolkien's of it interpretation.
Yeah, he did. That's what I have. That's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
He interpreted it. Well, mostly. He died before he published it, so his son had to finish it up for him. But yeah,
right.
There's the introduction and preface, and he said that he had mostly finished it, so he didn't have to do much work for it. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
He just mainly had to put it together.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting aspects of history to add to the film, because I think it actually does come up on screen near the beginning, is that they don't actually know who wrote it originally.
Yeah.
Because it was in the 14th century. It's really old. I think that's a neat little interesting thing. Could just be a nobody, or could be someone who was actually really famous person from that era.
Maybe.
But yeah, I kind of felt like that added a little bit of a I won't say, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It was intriguing to have an anonymous author.
Yeah.
For the movie. It intrigued me more than not saying anything about, not tying anything with the movie to the original source, to the source material.
Right.
Intrigues me more than not. Anyway.
So, William, what did you think? What are your first impressions?
It was really good. I liked it a lot. I because you liked it a lot and suggested it, I was expecting it to be, you know, a good movie, a really well-made movie. I was not prepared for as artsy as it was.
Yeah,
uh, it,
Honestly, wasn't either.
it did. I was like, oh,
I
it's one
when
of
I
these,
started when I
which is fine.
yeah when
I like artsy movies.
I watched it when I had heard so many good things about it just from like uh mostly mainstream stuff, but a lot of people didn't go see it because it came out like during a pandemic for one.
Yeah.
And so like also wasn't expecting it to be artsy. I was expecting it to be good because I had only heard good things about it, but I wasn't expecting it to be artsy either. And then when I went into it, I was like, "Oh, dang! Okay, cool."
Yeah. And then super early on too, I was getting okay. Before I even found out that these two actors were in it, I was getting some vibes that were reminding me of The Witch. And then the mother from The
Yep.
Witch is in it, and then the father from The Witch is the Green Knight, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
even before
So
that, there was like some music cues and some
Yeah.
visuals that I was like,
No,
it
I
just
totally
made
see
me
that.
think of The Witch, and then
That
those two were in it.
shot was very. The one with all the animals and the guy like drunk or whatever or dead. I don't even know. But all the animals like going around and near the open, like the very opening. That was very like witch vibes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get that too because I was kind of in the same boat. I don't remember if I found out that they were in it before I watched the movie or while I was watching the movie because I know I was on IMDb looking at the cast while I was watching the movie. I just don't remember
Yeah, and
if
I
it
mean
was
it was pretty
before.
quick that you find out too, because
Yeah.
like, you see her, so it's like immediate. Oh yeah, that's Kate,
Yeah.
Kate Dickey or
But
whatever.
I don't think
And then
Did
I
you?
hear his voice, and I was like, oh, I know that voice.
Yeah. I was about to ask, did you know it from his voice or did you have to look it up? Because I think I
From
had
his
to look it
voice.
up.
So I heard his voice, and then I looked it up, but I was like certain. I
You were
heard
like,
his voice, and
certain.
I was like, that's the dad from The Witch. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he definitely. Oh my gosh, he was so good as the Green Knight,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad they went practical with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked
I
good.
watched the behind the scenes last night, and they said they were talking about how they wanted to do it, if they wanted to do a puppet or if they wanted to do animation or like CGI or like a mix of CGI and a puppet. And then they're like, no, I think it has to have a person behind it. And I think there is some CGI added onto it, not a whole lot, because behind the scenes watching him in costume is like it's almost exactly the same. And they like even at the end of the movie you see they like get a close up on his eyes, those like brown the like wood eyes that he has were contacts.
Oh, okay.
So like it's mostly practical.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah, it looked really good.
And they were talking the David Lowery? Is that right?
I think so.
I had all
That
of a
sounds
sudden
right.
blanked on it.
That sounds right.
The director,
Lowry, yeah.
okay. The director said he said that he wanted the movie to end on a twinkle in the Green Knight's eye, and he knew that he needed to get an actor who could pull that off under a bunch of prosthetics and makeup. And he knew that that actor could do it, and that's why he wanted him. Also because of his voice. Also, but like
Yes, that
also
voice
because
was
he's
fitting.
just a really good actor, and he knew that he would be able to. And even Dev Patel talked about how he was. They filmed it in Ireland, and so like when they were filming it, it was cold and rainy. That like scene at the end, it was cold and rainy and everything. But under all that makeup and prosthetics and costume, he knew. I think he said he saw some like sweat coming off him, dripping off of him at some point or something. And he said that he didn't say a word. He never complained. He just did his job, and that I just got so much more appreciation for him as an actor.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
sounded rough, having to be under all that prosthetic, and even though it's cold outside, you're sweating, and not complaining about it a single time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't know if I would have complained, but I definitely would like be joking about it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add, my initial thought was that the eyes were CG, but I think it was like after he got his head cut off at the beginning, and he opened it again. I was looking at it right at that moment. I was like, "There's no way those are CGI." So I like that confirmation that it was like contacts, because I was like,
they were
it looked
contacts.
so good, and I was like. But then I saw the eyes, and I'm like, okay, maybe the eyes were CG. But then once he got his head cut off and he opened his eyes again, I'm like, there's no way that was a CG.
Yeah, it's
Not CGI.
it was like his whole face was covered, like like his mouth, his eyes, none of it was like open for CG. It was all practical. I think his movements and when he talked, there were some things that looked kind of rubber, so maybe they just like cleaned it up a little bit in CG to make it look like actual bark. But other than that, like, it is very practical.
I really didn't really know what to expect about the title, The Green Knight. I was not expecting a tree-like knight, but it was really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I honestly thought going into it the first time I watched it that Dev Patel was the Green Knight. And then I realized it was based off of a poem called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And I knew that he was playing Sir Gawain, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's not the Green Knight. Okay. But I still wasn't entirely sure what the story was about or what it was going into it, which I usually try to do that with movies anyway, just because I feel like I get a better immersive experience if I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I was trying my hardest not to see any trailers for The Northman. But then the second time we went to see The Batman, there was a trailer of The Northman.
Yeah.
And it was unavoidable. But yeah.
Yeah.
I like to be like completely blind. You know.
Yeah. So interesting fact, little tidbit that I found out. David Lowery actually was not going to cast Dev Patel, because traditionally the cast is given to a white Anglo-Saxon person. But then he saw something. Dev Patel was modeling for something, and he saw it, and he realized how regal he looked, and was like, okay. And then they sent him the script, and he read it, and he thought it was amazing. So he did it. He agreed to do it, and I'm so glad that he did, because I think he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He was really good in the movie as this role.
For sure.
Acting was great all around.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there was a single weak actor in the whole thing.
I don't think so.
What did you think of Barry Keoghan? I think is how you say his
Yeah.
name, but I'm not sure.
He wasn't
his
in it very
small
much.
no, but like from the little bit that he was in it, what did you think?
No, he was good.
I've only seen him in. Well, apparently I've seen him in more things than I thought had, but I can't remember. Really, some like he was in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him in Dunkirk.
He was,
I haven't seen that
on the
movie since.
boat.
Oh yeah,
He was
yeah,
like the
yeah,
kid
yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah,
boat.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did do a good job in that, but it's also been a while since I've seen it, so I can't really remember any specifics about it. But he keeps showing up
Yeah.
in things because the most recent things he was in was Eternals, where he played an Eternal. He did really well in that, and the Joker in the new Batman movie, which was a deleted scene and a little snippet at the end.
Yeah.
But he did a really good job in that one as well.
Yeah. Have you seen
So when
The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
I have not.
You should.
Yes, I it's on my watch list, and I have plans on watching it at some point, but I have not yet.
That's one we'll have to do on here for sure.
Cool.
At some point
But yeah, he's definitely coming up as he's an up and coming actor, I think, and he's really good. Because he has just a so different persona in this than he does in all the other movies I've seen him in.
Yeah.
He's kind of scary too in this a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing I do want to bring up is that one of the major changes from the original poem was that Sir Gawain in the original poem was already a knight and was like well respected and everything, but they changed that to he was a young and not yet a knight, and he had no quests or honorable things under his belt, so that way he'd have a place to go, which I think was a very good decision because honestly that just makes for more interesting storytelling. For one, I mean, you can make it to where he's a regal knight and still make him a compelling character, but just having him have to go through all these trials to overcome and to become a knight, a full-fledged knight, I think worked really well for this particular story.
I agree. Yeah, I didn't know that until I looked up the title and saw Sir Gawain, and I was like, well,
yeah, he's a knight.
in the source material.
Yeah,
there.
and that might be why it's not the movie is not Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It's just the Green Knight because he's not actually a knight yet.
I think that was a good decision. Just the title alone makes it a little bit more better and intriguing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And if I'm going to be honest, the first time I watched it, when he gets to the Green Knight at the end and he like runs away and then lives that whole life and stuff, I was like, oh, so he didn't have any character change at all throughout the entire movie. And I was like really mad at first because I was like, he didn't he didn't have his character was the exact same at the beginning as it was at the end. But I just kept watching because I was like, this has got to go somewhere. I don't know where it's going, but it's got to go somewhere. And then it like reveals that he just like had some sort of like vision or something of what his life would be if he ran or kept that enchanted belt on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then took it off and then became essentially a knight. And I was like, ah.
Yeah.
So he did have a character change, just full transition, and I was like,
I
nice.
really, really like the ending. That whole
Yeah, me too.
like
Sorry.
like I'm not gonna say that I saw it coming, but it was intriguing enough to make you feel like this is not how it's ending, like that.
Yeah, this is it definitely felt off. It was like, there's no way it's ending like this, right? Because this is
when it started
montaging. Yeah.
When it kind of started like montaging almost, that it was just like, basically he just like not a great dude at all through any of it. I thought that they were doing the same thing they did earlier. They foreshadowed it with when the bandits leave him and you see him laying there and it turns, which fantastic cinematography, okay? Like it turning and then you see the skeleton and then it starts turning back the other way. So it's like time going forward and then time reversing back to him back alive, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna die like this. I'm gonna do something."
Yeah.
So like that foreshadowed the ending part.
Yeah.
And it was at some point during that montage, and he's just not a great dude, and it makes you mad or whatever. And I was like, I think they're doing this again.
Yeah, because and also not only does he not turn out to be a good dude, but like he loses his son. He's like losing his whole kingdom.
Yeah,
and it's just you can also tell when he's like taking his son from that girl.
Yeah,
that he's been with the whole movie, that he still is like feeling terrible about it, but is going to continue to do the bad thing.
Yeah.
So he like essentially cuts that tie off, and now she hates him forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, with that little moment when like he's coming back in from that war or whatever, holding his son's like crown, and then that piece of crap hits him in the chest, and that guy runs off, and then the guards go and chase him, and then it shows that woman again. I think she threw it. They only took that one guy because he ran. But I think she was the one who. I don't know. I don't really have any.
I was a little confused on who she was. She was supposed to be the mother?
I think.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't recognize her at all. She did not look like the same person.
She just had,
her skin and color
had like
different.
old. Yeah, she had old makeup on.
Like her skin color looked different. I was like, who is this? Because it was focused on her, and I was like, I don't know who that is. I have not seen her in this movie.
Yeah, it was the same person. They just put a bunch of old makeup on her to make her look older.
I think
I think it looked really good on.
Like, is it supposed to be her? But I swear, like her color was different. So I was like,
I think they did a really good job on Dev Patel making him look older. I think part of it is just his acting.
Yeah,
because he was carrying himself differently, for one. But also just like the gray hair and his like beard and stuff looked natural.
Yeah.
But then on her, since she didn't have as much to make look older, So I don't feel like it quite worked. Like, I could tell that she was wearing makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, but like it didn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
It didn't take me out too much. It was just enough to be like, she's wearing makeup.
Yeah. That was just the one part that I was like, I don't know who this is supposed to be. Because I was like, at that point, like, I thought her skin color was closer to his, but I was like, that's not his mother. Because that was my first thought. And I was like, that's not his mother. Yeah. So I was really confused at that.
No, it was her.
Okay.
I assumed, but I assumed that he met her. Their eyes met, and she just kind of stood there. And I don't know why, but I just got this feeling. I was like, I'm pretty sure she's the one who threw that.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not, but I don't know. There's something making me feel like she's the one who threw it.
Yeah.
But he didn't do anything because he was like, I deserve it.
Yep.
Because it was also like, he came back and their son had died, and she was like, this might not have happened if you hadn't taken him away from me.
Yeah. Overall, though, too, like, I really love the cinematography.
Oh my gosh!
Like that bit I was telling you about the attorney. That's just like part of it. That's so good. But then like, there's so much through the whole movie. That's just shot super, super good.
The whole movie is shot so well.
Yeah.
And when I first watched it, that scene happened, and I was just blown away. I was like, oh gosh, this is so good.
Yeah. I was like, man.
And even the opening shot. Right at the beginning of just that guy sitting there on the thing with all those animals, and you don't really know what's going on. You're just observing. But as the title cards come on, it switches to others. It's like snow and stuff.
That shot confused me a little bit too, actually.
Yeah, me too. But I still love it.
Because like, it's a great shot, and then there's a building on fire behind that wall.
Yeah.
And then those two come in, like the lady gets on the horse, the dude pulls the sword. So I'm like, okay, some sort of raid or something is going on. And they're trying to escape. And then it goes into him waking up.
Yeah. And then it's never like brought up again or mentioned.
I think it might be
unless that's supposed to be
foreshadow of his little vision of having his kingdom destroyed and stuff.
That's what I just thought of that. Like, is that supposed to be like towards the
end?
That's the best I got, honestly.
Because I was definitely confused because I thought a raid or something was going on, and then they're just ignoring.
Like nothing's going on. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I was like, those people were definitely trying to escape from something. Like there was a building on fire, and then he's just waking up, and like nothing's happening. So I was confused.
Yeah.
At that. Maybe it was something like that though.
I kind of feel like that. That would be pretty cool if it was. If it is. I like foreshadowing.
I'd have to pay closer attention on a second watch, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that the first time I had watched it, so it was completely new to me again the second time I watched it, and I was like, not sure what that's for. Not sure what's going on there. But yeah, it could be just foreshadowing, or maybe there was a line that I missed that, because I know him and King Arthur talked about how the knights had killed enough, or shed enough blood for something. I don't remember the exact line, but they talked about how his knights had fought a bunch of people and killed a bunch of people, and so maybe there's something during that conversation that kind of alludes to there being some sort of battle or war or something going on at that time or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm leaning more towards the foreshadowing aspect because it would just feel a little weird that if there's a war that previously happened before the movie started, and it's just like a small piece of dialogue. I don't know. It would feel like it would be
Yeah.
more like an aftermath war thing.
Right.
I don't know. So I'm leaning towards more the foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Especially with, I think that in the terms of like the vibe and tone that the movie's going for, I think the foreshadowing makes more sense.
Yeah,
than
true.
Being like
Yeah.
a war and stuff.
Yeah, because that happens multiple times throughout the movie. But yeah.
Use of
Or
color
anything.
in the
Yes.
cinematography too is really, really good.
Perfection. So good.
Yeah.
And the music,
Yes.
which one thing that I found out watching the
love the music.
behind the scenes for the music, the guy who did the music has done the music for every single one of David Lowery's films, which I don't know if I've seen any of the other films. As far as I know, I haven't. But
Yeah.
he said that for the other ones, he would just make a demo, and then they'd change a few things, and that'd be it. But for this one, that was a little tougher, and he actually went and learned Old English and how they used to structure poems and songs back then to use for the songs where he had actual vocals and a chorus and all that, which I thought was so cool. I was like, I love it when musicians put in that type of work to just make it more realistic and authentic and
yes.
what's the word I'm looking for? I used it earlier.
Immersive.
Immersive, yeah.
Yes. The one I'm particularly thinking, you're probably thinking the same thing, is the scene with the giants there, with the fox howling, and how that transitions into that fire piece. That was awesome.
Yeah. The giants were so cool. I don't know what was going on there, really, but
that was probably the conflicting thing about the movie for me.
Do what?
That was kind of like the thing that didn't make much sense for me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he had just taken those mushrooms, the scene before. So it's possible that he could just be tripping.
I literally, when that happened, I said out loud, I was like, "Don't you think you've been hallucinating enough on this trip so far, buddy?" Because he had just come from the girl with her head cut off and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was like, don't eat the shrooms, man.
And then he starts seeing giants and stuff.
During the giant part, I was like, it was all visually quite stunning and all, but my thought is he just runs up there and starts yelling at them. I was like, dude, you're brave. Some giants. Let me go ask them for a ride. Are they gonna eat me? I don't know. I'm gonna ask them for a ride.
And then they go to pick him up, and he's like, "No, wait, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I don't know if they were gonna go pick him up because they were curious, or they were like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah.
But then they saw him freak out, and then they were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So not real sure.
Sorry.
But I feel the normal
visually
reaction for a human to a giant would be, "Holy crap! Stay hidden, don't let it see you."
Yeah,
he's just
that would have been my
let me go
reaction.
ask him for a ride.
I would have turned and ran the other way, or hid somewhere.
Yeah,
I'd be scared for them to even see me.
Yeah, he's just nah, I'm gonna ask them for a ride. Uh,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I definitely don't understand anything. I have nothing to add to the giant thing. I didn't.
yeah, that was. I mean, visually it was
Yeah, visually
beautiful,
it was
yeah,
awesome.
but I'm not sure what was going on. I think it was just. I think it was just kind of just showing how fantastical his journey was
yeah,
to add a few more fantasy elements to it, which I am totally here for
yeah,
Oh yeah.
because I love fantasy so much. So like, even if it does feel a little forced, I don't care. And I don't think that necessarily felt forced. I'm just saying that like in any fantasy thing, if they
Yeah.
add something in there just to add it,
yeah.
most of the time I'm okay with it because I love
Yeah.
fantasy.
And like you said, it was probably just to kind of add some fantasy to the world. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't weirded out or anything by seeing a giant
No.
or scared. So,
Yeah. There were very few like fantastical elements to the movie that he like had very little reaction to. Like when the fox started talking to him, he was like, "Wait, you've been able to talk this whole time?"
what
But
witchcraft is this?
but then
Yeah.
it was like gone in like a moment. It
Yeah,
was like, all right, he just
Yeah.
accepted it. So like
yeah,
clearly his mom's like a witch.
yeah,
So like I'm sure he's been around that type of stuff before.
yeah.
Which that was one thing that I picked up on the second watch because the first time I watched it with one of my friends, and when they got to that house with the lord and the lady, and there was that blindfolded woman the whole time, my friend was like, "So are we not going to mention the blindfolded lady?" And so we were very confused as to what she was doing there and why she was blindfolded and all that.
Yeah,
But then the second time I watched it, I picked up on whenever they were doing that like ritual thing at the very beginning, his mom and all those other ladies, she blindfolded herself and did all that like witchcraft things.
yeah,
So I assume that she was blindfolded because she was some sort of uh, witch or mystical magic person.
yeah,
Especially because at the end
Magic
of that whole scene, or not the whole scene, that whole like section of the house, it does kind of reveal that she's some sort of mystical person.
yeah,
And that's why no one mentioned it because his mom was that type of person. So
yeah,
like he's used to it, and they're used to it because she's living there, obviously.
yeah.
And then I found out that in the poem, that woman turns out to be Morgan Le Fay, who is a magical, mystical person. So
Hmm. Gotcha.
that makes sense.
And I mean, the one lady even asked him like, "Do you believe in magic and like or like witchcraft and stuff?" And he responded with like, "Yeah, it's everywhere."
Yeah,
So like, he obviously was no stranger.
right.
I like that tone, Nathaniel. Mystical magic person.
Thanks. I'm going to coin that. It's gonna people will get charged every time they use it.
Alright.
Which I mean, even King Arthur had what, Merlin.
Yeah,
So I'm guessing that's who that one guy was who almost seemed to like talk to him when the Green Knight first showed up.
yeah, or did some
Like,
sort of
telepathy type. Like he looked at him, and it looked like they had communicated with each other.
yeah. He did
So
some
I'm
sort of
assuming that
thing,
was
like
Merlin.
some sort of. Yeah, I assume
Yeah.
it's Merlin too, because he had the things under his eyes to
Yeah.
like made him feel like some sort of wizard.
Yeah.
And then he had the long beard, and then he did some sort of sense thing, like he just went whoosh, and then the whole like room turned red, and then it flipped back, and then he looked over at King Arthur and like gave a nod and had that
Yeah.
like communication with him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even like
but yeah,
normal people have some sort of
yeah, that was something that was intentional. David Lowery didn't want to name the kingdom or the king or really anybody. He just wanted you to know who they were based off of.
I saw on IMDb it was like king, queen, and it was like,
yeah,
I know it's King Arthur. Like,
yeah, you know who it is, so you don't really have to say who it is.
Right.
But that was an intentional choice that he had made, which I mean that's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Because
I don't have any gripes with that choice.
I think it was a good. I think almost pretty much every choice. I don't. There was one choice that I'm kind of like about, but it's really only one. But I also understand why they did it. Anyway.
well, now you
like
gotta tell us about it.
Every choice that was made for the movie, I felt just fit perfectly. And that one was the one that I'm about was the whole thing with Saint Winifred, the spirit who has to get her head.
Yeah.
Like I love that because it just feels like something that you'd just like a quest, like a side quest thing that he just came upon during and it's also just another like trial. But at the very end of it, his axe just shows up again after it got stolen from that thief.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, huh? Why? And then I found out that wasn't in the original poem. It was added in. It is an Arthurian legend, but it was added in, I guess, partly to make it feel more like a quest and to just kind of show some more trials that he had to go through and all that stuff. And actually, honestly, even the thieves, that whole section also wasn't in the original poem. But
yeah, a knight probably would not have been so easily.
Yeah, you're not a knight.
Down by 3 bandits.
You said you were. You said you were. I didn't say I was a knight. You said I was a knight. Are you a knight? No, I'm not a knight.
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty obvious after you took him down pretty easily that he's not a knight.
Right. Yeah. And I could be wrong about the time period, but I feel like he would have had a bit more armor too, especially if he was a knight. Because he didn't have much, like just some mail, and that was it. I was like, but back to that scene real quick. With the axe showing up, there was something else that I had noticed that I thought was like going to come into play later, but I don't ever remember anything coming of it. Because like the axe showed up, and then the spirit was saying some things, and she said something about the Green Knight is someone you know, and so I thought I thought she was giving him like crucial information that would come up later, but I don't rember.
I think that's a callback. I think that's a callback to the original poem, because in the original poem, the Green Knight turns out to be that lord at that house.
Oh, okay.
I read about that after the movie because I didn't want to get spoiled.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was like, this seems really important. Like, this is gonna come into play later. And then I was like,
that confused me too the first time, but then I found out later that they turned out to be the same person. And actually, honestly, they thought about casting the same person as that. They were thinking about having Joel Edgerton be the Green Knight as well. But then they said they didn't go into detail about it, but they said for practical reasons they couldn't do it that way. I don't know what they were because they didn't go into detail, but but I'm completely fine with it because I think that who they did cast as the Green Knight was a perfect choice.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I think they had Joel Edgerton before they had him, which is why they didn't do it the opposite way. or it was because of the logistical reasons that they didn't go into detail about.
Yeah. Joel Edgerton wouldn't wear the makeup. He refused.
Who knows?
I don't know.
But yeah, in the poem, they turn out to be the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But one thing I did want to bring up was something I've read on the trivia on IMDb. Where is it? The 5 traditional knightly virtues are friendship, generosity, chastity, courtesy, and piety. Throughout the movie, Gawain when tested, fails at all 5. Friendship, after he befriends the fox, he ends up threatening it and chasing it away when the animal warns him about his danger. Generosity, he gives a single coin to the scavenger, and only after the latter explicitly begs for it. Chastity, he is seduced by the lady. Courtesy, he initially asks for a reward from the ghost of St. Winifred for helping her. And piety, he does not want to attend the Christmas Mass at the beginning. This shows he is not ready to be a knight yet until his final choice at the Green Chapel. Which, when I read that, I was like... Because I didn't know anything about the 5 knightly virtues. I think they were mentioned in the movie.
Yeah,
can't remember. They were mentioned in the movie, but I didn't know what they were.
The lady from The Witch, the queen there, she was saying something like almost like a blessing or whatever before he went on his journey, and she said 5 for this and 5 for that. Like, she said 5 a lot for a lot of different things, so it was probably in there.
Yeah, I do remember something about virtues being said, but I couldn't remember. But I also read the trivia afterwards, and I think there was something about it in there, so I couldn't remember if it was in the movie or if I had read it in the trivia somewhere. Maybe both. But yeah, I didn't know what they were, but now knowing what they were and that they were all tests throughout the movie that he fails.
Yeah.
Just so good.
Yeah.
Just really good character writing.
Yeah.
Indeed, and something that's not forceful either.
Yeah. It's something that you pick up on later, and just after doing a little bit of research and stuff. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So what did you think about the very, very end? The last final words/actions of he takes off the belt and says, "Now I'm ready." And then the Green Knight says, "Off with your head." Now, or good job or something. And then off with your head, and then smiles, and then it ends. What are your thoughts?
I think it holds some meaning to all the stuff he failed and stuff. But I don't really understand the off with your head line.
Well, the part of the challenge of the game was whatever injury he sustained from the first fight or challenge or whatever, was that he would return it on a year at the end of the year. So since he cut off his head, it was assumed that that's what he was going to do to Gawain, was to cut off his head.
Right.
So, but it's also could be that he didn't have to necessarily go that far. He can give him whatever he wanted to. Give him any injury that he wanted to. But what was your all's interpretation of it? Because it's left ambiguous, so I'm just curious what your all's interpretation of it is.
not sure if I've worked that out yet.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I liked the way the ending was done, but
Yeah, me too. I don't have to have a uh clear answer. I mean, sometimes you like to, but sometimes it's more fun to just leave it open, and then you can just take it wherever you want to.
yeah.
And I think it's more fun that way sometimes.
agreed.
So there are two interpretations of it. Would you like me to tell you what they are, or do you want to just leave it and then kind of try and ponder it a little bit longer for the next time you watch it?
I don't care either way, but I'll let William answer that. I probably won't really get much out of it, honestly. I'm not good at interpreting art.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So okay. So basically, the knight congratulates him for his courage of taking off the belt and finally becoming a knight. And says, "Now off with your head." That can be taken as, "All right, good job. Now we're gonna cut off your head." And then after that moment, after the screen cuts to black, he just cuts off his head. But it could also be taken as him sliding. He says that as he's like sliding his finger across his throat, and it could be taken as that was like a playful, just what what he has chosen for the conclusion of the game, to be that's his blow. And now off with your head means more, now off you go with your head. Those are like the two like main interpretations that people have for it. I personally think it's the second one, mainly because he had that moment where he chose death over dishonor. And I think that was the reason he decided to not actually cut off his head.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, considering that he failed all of his tests. You know?
Yeah, and then he got to that final one and chose the correct answer. But
yeah,
I mean,
that makes sense to me.
yeah.
I think that. I mean, I'm not saying that I dislike having the Green Knight just cut his head off anyway, but it seems, considering how the story goes and who the character is and stuff, it seems
how he has
plausible.
absolutely no character change until that final moment, and then right after that, having his head chopped off.
It just kind of seems like
it's not necessary. Yeah, it's not.
What?
Yeah,
if they were
I don't hate it either, but
and actually showed his head getting cut off, I would consider that a bad ending.
Yeah,
honestly,
but
if the fact that they didn't show anything,
if it had shown that he had no character development up until that one point, and then showing his head getting cut off, I think I would probably dislike it more than just leaving it ambiguous.
Yeah. That would be just kind of like, this was such a good movie, and then you ruined it at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the point? Yeah, I agree. I think it would be. I think it's the latter as well. But yeah, that's cool. It's a very well-paced film
I
for sure.
also, yeah, I also love how throughout the entire movie, he people keep asking him if he's a knight. He keeps saying that he's not a knight, and even in that scene where he gets seduced, that woman's like, "You're no knight." And then he, and then at the very end, after he does that, takes off that belt, the Green Knight says to him, calls him a knight after that.
Yeah.
So like finally, so like at that point, he finally just becomes a knight, and I love that. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but probably.
I feel like
I can't imagine that it's not.
Yeah. It feels intentional.
Yeah. Another thing I picked up from the IMDb trivia is that one of Godwin's first lines in the movie, I think it was like maybe his second or third line, he says, "I'm not ready."
Yeah.
And then his very last line is, "Now I'm ready."
Mm-hmm.
Which is also just another, just so, the writing of the movie is just so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just all around. And like another moment that I really love with the writing is that like that almost poem that the lady talks about when she's talking to them about green, the color green, where she asks why the Green Knight is green, and then they like have a little discussion, and then she goes off on this huge long monologue about it. I think that monologue was really well written.
Yeah.
Because it was very, very, like poetic. Like I think it rhymed in a couple places and had like this just like a poetic structure to it.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, anytime someone writes a poem, a really well written poem, I'm just impressed because I can't write poetry.
Yeah.
I have tried and I'm not good at it. I'm sure if I put more effort into it, I would be able to.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
I'm not even gonna attempt until I maybe publish a few books. So
Shoot, I can't even
Yeah.
write, let alone
I
poetry.
I do really want to get into poetry. I haven't really officially read a full poetry yet. I have some poetry. I have Beowulf and the Inferno, like Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
I want to get that whole trilogy too, but like I'm very intrigued and interested in that, especially like those
Yeah.
more like classic
Right.
fantasy like poems.
Yeah. I haven't read Beowulf. And like I said, I haven't finished the Green Knight yet. I think J.R.R. Tolkien does a fantastic job of translating it because he keeps a lot of like the actual poetry. Like there's rhymes and stuff in it. There are times where there was absolutely no way of him getting the rhyme, and you can tell. But when he can contain the story and get it to rhyme or have some sort of like flow to it, he does, and it's really well done. As far as I can tell. I don't know how you go into interpreting a poem from Old English, but it sounds like it wouldn't be easy.
Yeah.
And trying to keep the mood and the tone and the meaning of the poem while also trying to get it into a language where anyone can understand it.
Right.
Anyone who speaks English can understand it is like, that sounds like it would be tough.
Yeah. For sure.
But
Yeah.
like there are moments where I'm just reading it and I'm like, oh, this is an actual poem. This isn't just
Yeah.
someone oh, this word means this and just putting it over to it. Like there's actual like work put into it.
Yeah. I definitely want to pick that up. Basically the same copy that you have.
Yep.
But
You definitely should. It also has Sir Orfeo, which is a medieval version of the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. And Pearl, which is a moving tale of a man in a graveyard mourning his baby daughter. Those are also I guess they're poems, I don't know, that are also in this book as well. So it's not just The Green Knight.
gotcha.
So I'm excited to read those as well.
Nice. But yeah.
Yeah. So is there
Alright.
anything else that you wanted to talk about the movie? I know I've been bringing up a lot of things that I wanted to mention.
I didn't
A lot
mention
of just
actually during the movie, but I appreciate the detail of him actually cutting his hand when he had his hands behind
cutting
his hat.
the
Yeah,
yeah
I appreciate that realistic detail there.
yeah.
But
I would definitely
yeah,
encourage you guys to pick up a physical copy and watch the behind the scenes and making of stuff on the disc, because there is some really cool stuff you learn from that. The Green Chapel that he meets the Green Knight in was not built. It was completely real. They found. They didn't add any shrubbery or greenery to it. And the location scout didn't actually find it. They didn't say where, when, or why, how they found it, but they said that they just found it while they were filming off the side of the road, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect." So they just filmed it there.
Wow.
Because
nice.
I was watching the things, and Dev Patel said we're filming in a fantasy movie in Ireland, and I was like, I hate you right now. Oh,
Yeah.
that is my dream, to film some sort of fantasy movie in Ireland, like the cave that he the fox actually comes up to him and then starts following him around in.
Yeah.
That cave was just in someone's backyard, because you'll see a lot of times in the behind the scenes you'll see that really cool thing that they're the cave that they're filming, and then they'll turn the camera the opposite way and you'll see houses.
Yeah.
Like that scene where he's walking, I think, or right at the beginning, where he's on the horse walking into the up to the castle in the kingdom. That's an actual castle in Ireland, but on the if you turn around, it's just houses and pubs and, and stuff. So they had to be really careful about how they shot it in order to not get that stuff in the movie.
Yeah. Well, they did good.
And that, yeah, and that tower that they did the witchcraft and stuff in.
Yeah.
That spiral tower, that's an actual tower in Ireland that they found, that they filmed at.
Yeah.
So a lot of the outside stuff is all just practical Ireland. They just filmed in Ireland.
I was like, man, there is so much. It looks just so big. There's so much space out here that's just untouched by people.
Yeah, they said that they didn't have a lot of time or money to go very far, so all of that stuff is 30-minute drive from Dublin, and I was like,
wow,
guess I gotta go to Dublin.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to like, because I've seen pictures on Instagram and stuff of people like actually visiting locations of where they filmed all these famous movies and scenes and
Yeah,
stuff. That'd be really cool to do
yeah.
if they
Find
had the
that
money for it.
cave or the Green Chapel.
Yeah, the Green Chapel especially. I would actually, if there was any place I could go to in this movie, it would be the Green Chapel.
Mm.
That was so beautiful.
Yeah,
But I don't necessarily have anything else to add.
yeah. I think the only practical stage that they had was the round table that they like built for it. I think everything else they
That
just
makes sense.
they filmed in somewhere in Ireland.
Hmm.
I don't know about the brothel. They didn't say anything about the brothel, but I assume that's probably just some house
Yeah.
in
I still feel like that
London.
might be inside of a
Maybe
castle too.
that could be, but it may not be. I don't know. But they did talk about building the set, and they showed the set of the actual like round table. So they probably only had that one and maybe one or two other ones, but most of it was just filmed on location in Ireland.
Wow.
Round of applause for filming on location. A rarity these days. You can still make amazing stuff in the studio, but just filming on location is just epic. Another movie
Yeah.
that did it perfectly that comes to mind is The Revenant. Top notch with that. But I
when
appreciate it,
I love
especially
it.
nowadays.
Yeah, I love it when people film on location. Because you can tell.
Yeah.
It just maybe not outrightly, but subconsciously you can tell
Yeah.
when it's and it just brings that just more. It brings more realism and it makes it more immersive when it happens.
Definitely.
Because like just there those scenes where like he's just walking and there's just those huge expansive like fields and stuff behind him. It's like there's no way that that's not real.
Yeah.
Or if it is, it's really impressive how there is one shot that it shows this huge expansive just land out in front of him and it's not real, and that's the scene where he's talking to the giants, because that originally he's up on a cliff and out in front of him is just the ocean.
Okay.
And so the whole landscape they changed in CGI and then added in the giants, which were actual people in costumes who they filmed on a green screen and then set up in a way to make them look like they were actually there. And it's very well done. Like they did the whole like the like fog that you get from just a distance. They did that really well.
I saw. I'm pretty sure I saw in the credits at the end Weta Digital.
Yeah.
And so you watch Corridor. I'm sure you saw when they did Justice League Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And like
Weta
did the stuff with like Steppenwolf like walking on the beach, and they were like this has got to be and they were trying to figure out how they did that.
Yeah, like the stick just flipping in the mud. Yeah.
I am
Weta and ILM are like the biggest names in VFX.
I'm the one video that I wish I did with you guys was Justice League, but I didn't wash it up when you guys were doing it. Because I love Zack Snyder's Justice League and I want to talk about it.
I think
film discussion episode, but we.
I think that was like.
I
think that was also
spoiler-free review on Nathaniel's channel, and then you did the spoiler discussion on yours.
Yeah, and I did that when I came up and visited you all, and I think that was the week or 2 weeks before you moved in because
No,
your
that
previous roommate was moving out.
That one we did over like this.
You guys
Over
did it like
Discord.
this.
Oh, we
I
did?
We
watched
did
those videos.
the
What am I thinking of?
Breadwinner and
I know we did the Breadwinner, but I thought we did.
Godzilla versus Kong. That we
Oh,
did?
yep.
I think those are the two we did when
Right.
we were up
That
here.
was it. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Nathaniel was up
I was-
there just
I
a
was
few
thinking it
weeks
was
before you moved up here.
Yeah, I know.
So
Just missed me.
I was trying to avoid you.
I've been up here a year now. A couple days ago, it was been a year.
Oh,
April
wow.
15th.
Time has flown by so much. I still feel like it's 2020.
Indeed.
It's
Yeah.
Hey, come
2022
visit.
as of filming this, by the way.
Yeah.
There are still. I
one
graduated college in 2020, and there are times where I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I graduated this year, right? No, it was 2 years ago. What? What?
Discussing the movie. Shut up.
Sorry.
College. No, just kidding.
Sorry. Well, time is part of the movie.
It's true.
Technically, there is because there's the whole
2000.
scene where like it flips around and he's a skeleton and it flips back around, and then there's the whole
Yeah.
like him just like thinking of what would happen to his future if he chooses this one.
But I just want to touch on
Therefore,
my-
me talking about time completely relevant.
I want to mention one more time how much I love the soundtrack.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I just looked up. There is an actual vinyl of it.
Did you buy
course.
it?
Not yet. I haven't
He's about
had it
to.
yet.
Well,
Hold on.
just hover your cursor over the add to cart.
But
But yeah, I was listening to the soundtrack while I was reading this. It's such a good soundtrack. It's always, I love it when I watch a movie and then I notice the soundtrack and how just original it is.
Yeah.
It fills my heart with joy because I feel like there are so many movies nowadays where you'll just listen to the soundtrack and like maybe one or two songs, if that,
Yeah.
like are actually good.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it'll just sound generic.
Generic movie soundtrack.
Yeah. and sometimes it's just really sad when you see a really good movie but the soundtrack's just generic movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you put in all the effort everywhere else, why couldn't you put in the effort in the soundtrack?
Yep.
Exactly.
But I think mainly it is because the guy who did the soundtrack has done the soundtrack for every other David Lowery movie. So him and David Lowery are like really good friends, and so they just have discussions about it. And I think he started working on it pretty early on in the production phase. He would have had to if he had to go into all that research to figure out how to write those lyrics for the people who sing in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But
So
the
yeah,
movie,
a big portion. Well, you can't see the whole thing because I've got other things on the shelves. But a good portion, like a quarter of my vinyl collection, are soundtracks. So they're awesome. They always have like awesome colors and everything. Of course, I've got the entire Showa era Godzilla box set, so I always got to show that off. But yeah, so when I hear a good soundtrack, movie-wise, I'm gonna jump on it. And this was one of those.
or
soundtracks.
look up to see if they have a vinyl,
Yeah.
and if they do.
Yeah, which a lot of them have been, because I looked up. I got one for the Batman. I'm gonna get one for
Batman
the
also had
Northman.
really good music, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that very soon. Very soon.
Yeah, the movie that I haven't even seen yet. I'm gonna try to get the Northman soundtrack on vinyl as well. Which the Northman one that I'm gonna get is actually by the same people, Waxworks Record, who did the Godzilla box set there, and I have multiple ones of them as well.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say.
Yeah, everything: acting, cinematography, set design, costume design. We didn't really talk about those things, but they were really good. Sound design, especially for the Green Knight. I loved the sound design for the Green Knight. Just sounding like trees and leaves rustling every time he moved.
Yeah.
So good. And then like the writing, really good. Just I really don't have really any flaws with the movie, in my opinion. I think it's
Yeah,
I hate calling movies perfect because I know there aren't any perfect movies, but it was pretty close. It's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah.
I think really the only thing for me that like kind of bothers me is that just that the whole Saint Winifred thing. You can kind of tell that was forced in there a little bit, like not too much, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, I have little to no complaints about it. It's
agreed.
So good.
Yeah. I
don't
really
think
have any complaints either.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page with you with the Winifred stuff as well. It did seem a little forced. But it was still important because of the test, one of the tests that he fails.
Yeah.
That
right. It still feels important enough to be there. It just feels like at the end it was like, he needs his axe back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's something you could probably find and kind of explain away, but I have been struggling to find something. But up until that point, like I really enjoyed the Saint Winifred thing because it still feels like a side quest that he has to do and another task that he has to accomplish, another test that he once again fails. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't fail completely. He just fails the like, what do I get in returns? Like, are you stupid? Why are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Which is important for a knight.
Yeah.
To be chivalrous and have virtue, I guess.
Right.
But, yeah. So, what would you all rate out of 10?
A 1.
Wow. All that praise and you give it just a 1?
Yeah.
I have no argument, but yes.
You got me there. I would honestly probably give it a 8 or 9, I guess, like 8.5.
8 or 9. Well, okay. I was gonna say I saw that you gave it an 8 on Letterboxd, but I didn't. You didn't. I saw that you, William, and Micah did. Yeah. So now I'm curious. Now that we've talked about it, has your rating changed at all?
I think I'm gonna stick with the 8 for now. I definitely can tell from just as soon as it was finished, I was like, this one's gonna be on my mind for a bit. I'm gonna be thinking about this and pondering it, and if I watch it again, my rating's probably gonna go up. But just for the first time watch, I'm gonna stick with the 8 for now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I tend to try to not. I try not to be, and I did. We'll talk about this too later on, but I did the same thing with the Batman. I was trying to make sure that I wasn't just excited or hyped right after seeing the movie. So I try to that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did
the same.
But then I'm I
did the same thing with Spider-Man: No Way Home. I knew how excited I was When I walked out of the film for the first time, I was like, I absolutely love that film, but I'm not sure if it's just because I'm a nerd. So I gave it a semi-low rating, and then when I went and watched it again and was able to kind of force that nerd side out of me a little bit better, I was able to give it a more concrete.
I was also glad I saw it twice.
Yeah. So I can, without a doubt, say solid 8 for sure, but it's probably going to go up.
It's a full-on 10 for me. I absolutely love it. It is honestly has become one of my favorite films. Just from the first watch, I was like, and part of it is because I love fantasy so much. I'm not gonna lie, I love fantasy, and it just tickled that itch just right in the right place.
I agree.
And I went and watched, and when I watched it again last night, I was like, yeah, it still holds up. Like, I still have no qualms with it. In fact, I think I liked it a little bit better because I picked up on some things I didn't pick up on the first time, and I enjoyed it just as much.
Nice.
Yep. So that was The Green Knight, 2 out of 10 for everybody here, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Thanks for watching, people.
Thanks for watching.
Go watch The Green Knight.
Yes.
And
recommend.
I don't think it's
highly
to
recommend.
The Film and Thespian, and subscribe to the Metal Gladiator.
It's so weird when you did that because on my screen I'm over here, so it's like subscribe to Film and Thespian, you're pointing at me, and then subscribe to Metal Gladiator, and you're pointing at.
It'll be right on the video. Trust me.
I know, but in my point of view, it's not right. So I just wanted to point that out.
Your point of view is not right.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Point of view.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna start quoting Star Wars. I'm such nerds.
But yeah, and stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot more film discussion stuff coming soon. More videos.
Hey, William.
More important news.
William,
So,
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the next film discussion planned?
The Batman.
Yeah.
I'm vengeance. Yeah, it's gonna be great. We're going to have a 4th person with us.
Ooh.
Yeah, who could that be? I don't know.
Guess you're gonna have to wait and find out.
You have to tune in and see.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and until then, we will catch you guys in the next one.
Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf
Auf Wiedersehen.